Welcome to TradeTheNBI.com. This is John's Reporters for the 7th of September. And, well, you know, we've got now a budget deal. We've got a second hurricane issue. North Korea is still threatening to blow up the world with their provocations. But things calm down just a bit. The budget deal obviously is going to help soften things. Having the debt extension already finished, along with aid for the hurricane. You know, a lot of these potential disruptions were pretty much eliminated in one fell swoop. The North Korea thing, there's not a whole lot you can do about that. However, China's saying that they're committed to removing nuclear weapons from the Korean Peninsula. And, you know, there's some positive rhetoric. There's nothing you can do about a crazy person, but that remains to be seen how that will play out. But in the interim, like I've said before, you really don't have many other options, because even in this craziness that happened the other day, where we pretty much just cleared out a bunch of weak hands and we moved right back within the confines of where we've been stuck for a little bit here. And it's been pretty reflective of the readings. It's been pretty weak once we had the steel crossover below the cyan, and now we're just getting to an oversold condition. It's not exactly a healthy turnaround point just yet, nor is the shakeout showing us anything, but we don't have an oversold from the extreme histogram, which is fairly decent. Also, a note on the extreme histogram, we'll be sending out later today update that has alerts for when the warning yellow comes in, as well as the positive extreme red. You have to be careful in thinking that the red is a sell signal. What it usually indicates is that you've got a strong algo activity move, and it usually denotes where your retrace will come to once a sell signal comes in, like it did right here. It took a little while for it to activate, but what it did was came right back and filled exactly this positive extreme right here. So just pointing that out so that you'll be able to look for it when it comes. Also, what will be happening is this is the ABM DOH here, which follows the resets. New resets will be coming through. So, like for instance, some of these other key ones that have all of the different number denotations, will get a reset with their own quarters. In this case, it had already done it, but more recently you would have this one right here, which will scoop down below. So a little bit of adjustments for just the daily, but also on the 50K charts, and perfect for following nice trend moves. This would be the original one, the ABM DO. That's how this goes for the NQ. Likewise, also we have contract rollover. I go back to it real quick. It's a little early for me to be flipping to the December contract, even though they've done it, because I think the volume's a little better on the current September one for at least a few more days, and then you start to transition over. But just pointing that one out, that's why you see the adjustment factor that takes place. NQ, a lot healthier. You can see, look at the difference between the NQ. DOC mid-range here, not even into the oversold like the ES is. So we should expect the ES to outperform going through there. This spike in the euro continues, and clearly it's a central bank add-on situation, because really anything you're hearing about eurozone growth and stuff is kind of phony. That said, you certainly have great moves into it at this particular point. Obviously, I think that now with the second hurricane, we might actually see some depressed economics numbers coming out of the U.S. It's going to really throw things off, because we were on a clear trajectory and it was starting to give a clear idea, and now we really have lost that. This ridiculous move in bonds for safety completely retraced itself. Now with debt concerns for the 3 months, you should expect that trade to deflate completely. Everyone was decrying that gold was going to be over, as well as oil, but oil's still climbing, because again, the increase in activity definitely going to have an impact that I think is positive from a telltale sign of growth. And that's what we look for. Likewise, don't worry necessarily about inflation. The gold rise too also points to global uncertainties, but right in line with our expectations on it, because eventually when that trade unwinds, you will see some inflation, particularly if Trump's policies continue to go forward, as he increases American workforce, the demand for wage increase is going to rise, and that would be what will cause inflation, which is why so many people have been against it, wanting to keep the no growth, no inflation policies going. So I talked about in the video when we started to have this decline coming through, and then we retraced up here, that this 50% retrace was going to be the key, and we hit it and got rejected off of it. That was not a healthy move there at the end, right when we got a short signal right at the peak. It was like, oops, and you ended up with the DLC spread right there. It was a perfect short opportunity, and sure enough, gave us a move exactly right back to the bottom. So we retraced off that this particular point, and then you have the rebalancing with the new contract because we've moved. You can see over here to the December setup. So it's a little bit of a crazy moment. It'll work itself out by the end of the day or whatever. And we should have a much clearer idea of where things are at because it really messes with all the readings on a short-term basis. That's the long and the short of it. Still, again, I think all the people who are freaking out over the world, I think the natural disaster thing is more of a real issue. Seeing that Texas has already gotten refinery processing stuff back up after such a short period of time, start to point to really good signs that they may have some real significant recovery. The fact that relief aid has gone through, I think, should really start to buoy the market here and maybe turn down some of the gloom and doom. However, some of these declines are not bad because you get a whole new level of shorts add into them, and you can see the fire that lights when prices go back up, and then they usually try it again, and you get another wave going to the upside. So we'll see how it plays out, but all in all, even with the weak signals, we're not suffering massive declines yet. So as always, trade well. We will talk about it more on Skype chat.